Here we go, forever and ever. It'll be on YouTube. Nice to have everybody. Sorry. Are you coming in here?
If it's okay.
Yeah, of course. No, it's great. So Mark W. is he's the sales manager in Grand Junction. Does the dog need to come in? He's going to be running today's Mastermind, which is going to be all about how some fairly new agents to the business have come in and made their businesses really start humming early on. And we all know how hard this industry is, so it's a testament to anyone that's doing business. But when you come in early and get some deals done, that's pretty awesome stuff. So we want to learn about some of those strategies and tricks and how you're doing it. Now, I know some of you are like, oh, well, I've been at this for a while. I know all these things. I would love for everybody to stay on this and then contribute as you see fit or ask the right questions to make all of us better, because no matter how new you are, how old you are to the business, we can all learn from each other. So even if you feel like, yeah, I've been there, done that, the whole idea is to make everybody on these masterminds better at what they do. So really appreciate you being here, Mark Wingirter in Grand Junction. Thanks for organizing this and getting the agents queued up. Why don't you go ahead and introduce them to us? And well, why don't you introduce them one at a time? And when your name is called, if you're on the panel, just tell us really quick what office you're in, how long you've been in the business, and maybe just a really quick snapshot of your production in the last year or so. Okay?
Okay.
Thank God. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I know this is going to be a little bit weird because I'm filming on one device and watching you guys on another, so and audio is coming through another one. So if it looks like a old kung fu movie, that's why. So just prepare for that. Let's start over here. Wasn't sure he was going to make it for this, but the one and only Keenan Coy. Keenan, how long you been in the business? What's your production looking like this year?
So I've been in the business now for just over 3 years from August. Don't know my production this year. Last year, though, I sold $8 million worth of real estate, about almost 30 transactions.
You're not far from that, right?
Yeah.
Pretty close. Judy Raymond.
Hi.
She's got pink hair. You guys can't see this. It's amazing, though.
It's fading.
It's fading, sadly. So how long have you been in the business? And I've got your numbers because I was prepared for you.
For me. 3.5 years. Well, not quite half. A little over three years.
Mm-hmm.
And
7.5 and 33 transactions this year.
Okay.
Jeremy Hayden.
I'm Jeremy Hayden here. I've been in the business for right about 2 years now.
And do you know your production?
Yeah, he's gonna have to tell you about it.
19 transactions for $5 million, which is nice little second year. Robert, Bobby, what do you prefer, by the way? And you're muted on Julie's. There you go.
I go by Bobby.
Okay.
So my name, yeah, that's what I go by, Bobby.
Okay. How long you been in the business? Production numbers for this year?
This is halfway through my second year, and I've done $4.5 million, and sitting at Monday will be 16 transactions. So
And you're in the Vail office. Right?
I'm in the Vail office, yeah.
Adam Greenberg. You're muted, but let's hear what you got.
Bozeman office, about little less than 2.5 years in the business. 21 transactions this year, pushing $9.5 million. We'll see what happens by the end of the year. That's almost 3 times what I did last year as far as transactions.
Awesome. So my concept with this, and I thought with this, is that we've got a lot of people with some varying levels of experience, people that are relatively new, but also people like one of the big reasons Judy's here is because her business is almost double what it was last year, and for that matter, it was very steady before that. So I just want to kind of get into like what have been the reasons for some of the change? So, Keenan, we'll start with you. We'll kind of work around the room the same way. What have you attributed a lot of your success to?
You know, being a newer agent, you kind of feel like people don't necessarily respect that you know what you're doing. So I think a big thing is to show people that you know what you're talking about and that you are a good agent. So Facebook and social media and Instagram have been huge for me. We talk about it all the time, but getting out there, simple as posting a picture of a closing or posting your new listing or posting a video about some of the topics that's been going on has been really big for me, to separate myself and to show that as a newer agent, I'm doing things differently than older agents have done. So I think that's been the biggest thing for me, and that's the easiest way to show people, hey, Keenan's a legit realtor. I mean, I saw pictures of closings and things like that. So I would say that's the biggest thing.
Well, and part of that is not just flooding them with stats, but they also you have to make them like you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got to have that balance, which you've done a good job of striking. Judy, how about yourself?
Can I just interject here for a real quick second? Because I don't want, I mean, I'm on the cusp of older, I think. And so when we're talking about older and younger, like there's no age issue here, I hope, and no one should take offense to anything. We're talking about like less experience and more experience, regardless of your age and whatever else. So if you're like, hey, I'm not older, you little so-and-so, I saw you. That's like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm sure Keenan means it as in like, we got these brokers that have been around the valley for 30 plus years. They know everybody. They don't need to do that kind of marketing, or at least don't feel that they do, or don't think that it has value. It doesn't matter where you're at in your career, how old, young you are. It's a lot of the successes come right down to the exact same thing. So, Judy, what's been a big impact for you?
Help. Because I'm like not good with the technology. So having all the people around here, we have the best office, by the way. And just like utilizing all the tools that we have here has been really good for me. Marketing and the help with the front desk and all them guys helping me and input all that stuff. And because technology is really, I struggle. And I'm learning IQ a little better. But I think with Keenan, the Facebook presence has helped a lot. I noticed the other day I was out and somebody come all the way across the room and said, "Oh, you're the realtor with the pink hair." When I get ready to buy, I'm going to come and see you. I'm like, okay, the pink hair stays.
Whatever works.
Whatever works.
Absolutely. Jeremy.
Well, most of my business has come from where a majority of you guys get your business from, but my sphere of influence. And so basically moving to Coldwell Banker from a different brokerage has given me a lot of people to come and talk to, and a lot more confidence going into my business. So what's really helped me is just really understanding my market, really understanding the contract. I don't do as well as Keenan does on the Facebook, but basically just my confidence from moving from a different brokerage to here to Coldwell Banker with all the stuff they offer us as far as marketing has escalated my business to what it currently is.
He was with Keller Wilson, just so you know there, Robert, what about you, man? Bobby. Keep calling you Robert because that's what I got written down. My bad.
No problem. It's all right. So, I do a little bit of everything that they kind of said, like with Keenan, I'm very big on Instagram and Facebook. But a lot of my business has come from the fact that if you don't know me directly, you know me somehow through somebody else. So my sphere of influence is very large and very, very prominent. So my goal, first year I did no transactions. So my goal has been every day I try and put my card in at least 3 or 4 different people's hands, every day. And I find a way to do that. And then, it's great because I speak Spanish and I take the time to translate contracts. And so I've been getting referrals from the Spanish community that have been coming in. I got a call the other day and the guy was like, I was told you're the guy I'm supposed to use. And I'm like, yeah, I am the guy you're supposed to use. You know, but so I do a lot of stuff with Facebook, newspaper. I mean, the biggest change for me was when I just finally decided I needed to invest in marketing. I come from a business background where I do outside sales and was an old general manager for a lumber yard, or assistant GM, I should say. And so I just took some of those tactics, and I knew that we had marketing budgets and whatnot. So I just decided that I needed to invest, put my stuff in the paper, put my stuff on Facebook. And I get a lot of people come and say, oh, I see your face in the paper all the time, or I see you on Facebook all the time. Your ads always pop up. So I'm a big proponent of that. And that's really paid dividends. I think the marketing is huge. Facebook, Instagram, and newspaper has been working for me.
Awesome. Adam, how about yourself?
So, like everybody else, I do most of my businesses come from sphere of influence. I do have a couple clients that are investors, and I made it a point to focus on kind of being where they are at online anyway. So I'm part of different Facebook investor groups and different sites like that for networking. So I focused on that. My future focus, though, is to definitely do the consistency of all the online marketing that needs to take place in order to expand my business. So
Absolutely. Well, and that's kind of a key. I know some of the markets, people are more into social media than others. I personally am of the opinion 99% of all people are on some form of social media. So nobody should be overlooking it, but consistency on that is the hardest part of it. And that's really key. And then if you can make a rap video, it doesn't hurt, but I don't quite have it in me. But clearly Keenan does. So you should make a rap video. I agree. I'll pay to watch that. So next question I've got, and then I want to open it up and see if anybody's got any questions from the group. Just, we want to see if we can get to the bottom of any struggles you guys are having. But my next question is, I wrote down, what would you recommend for a new agent, but honestly, what would you recommend for an agent that's new, or maybe an agent that's struggling? Like, where would be the best place to start? And I'll kind of open it up to whoever wants to jump in here.
Best place to start with your spirit, obviously.
Well, it's here, but like, is there a specific way you'd like to reach out?
I'll just go. Outside of that, I was having a little bit of I don't really want to invest in the realtor.com and the Zillow leads and things like that. That's not really the direction I want to go. So last month I tried something new. I just did a little bit of Facebook targeting. So I targeted certain people, renters in particular on this one, $5 a day, and I've gotten over 60 people that have applied to my little list there. So I've gotten their phone numbers and their emails, one of which I'm meeting with tomorrow morning. So for me, I was struggling, not wanting to pay a ton of money for leads. And that was kind of my quick solution there. And it's been, it's only been going a month, but it's been a good situation so far.
That's an awesome.
Did you say 60, Jeremy?
60.
Okay.
So when you send those that Facebook ad out, do you direct them to your own website, or how do you capture those leads then?
Yeah, so what they do is they go through and then they'll click on the link to learn more, and then their information will pop up. So their phone number, their name, and their email address. They'll submit it. They'll just press submit to me, and then it redirects them to my website.
But it's through Facebook is what they sign up on. And so Facebook captures the information for him rather than a website. So it's easier to get the info.
They don't have to leave Facebook to put it together.
Right.
So Facebook is capturing that in that ad for you. Did you set that up, or they designed that ad, or how did you design?
I set it up to where it would just automatically come in with their information. And at that point, all they have to do is select submit to me, and then it comes right straight to me.
Yeah, so when you do a Facebook ad, you can pick like what is your objective? Is it lead generation or website clicks or views or whatever? In this case, that's a lead generation ad. So that's why it's going to say, hey, give me this information, da da da, and then it kicks that down to you. That's part of what you're paying for with the ad. The beauty of Facebook ads, they're really freaking cheap and really easy to put together. And the analytics behind it are massive. So. Jerry Svenningson is the host now. Anybody else want to chime in on that? Like, what's your number one, recommendation to other agents that are struggling or brand new, or what would you reach out to them and say, hey, do this?
I would say the consistency. One thing that was big for me is when I first got started, we had Step Beyond Media monthly memberships. So I was making a video every single month, and that was a good, consistent way to get started. Granted, I mean, now most people can't afford paying for a video every single month, but find a consistent way to post on Facebook, whether every Tuesday you do a little Instagram story. Every time you have a closing or a new listing, you advertise that on Facebook. Put $10 down on an ad, so you're just consistently being there. Anytime you can post, just make sure you're posting, but getting that down so you're not looking back at your Facebook feed and seeing the last time I posted was 2 months ago, because I'm sure that happens to a lot of us.
Can you repeat that for Jeremy?
See you there.
Anybody else with some recommendations out of the panel?
I think just get out there, get yourself in front of people is a big thing. I mean, I do a lot of community stuff. I'm pretty involved, between I coach wrestling, I'm involved in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so different things. And then, even at the grocery store, like the other day, I picked up a lead just standing at the pharmacy. The pharmacist and one of his assistants, we were just talking. And next, I'm handing my card to both of them, and they're looking for stuff. And so I think the biggest thing is, if you sit at home and wait for it to come, it's not going to come. You have to get out there and you have to put yourself out into community things, kind of like Adam was saying. He's members of certain groups that kind of cater to areas he wants to get after. That's what I do. I just try and put myself in front of people that I know are going to potentially know. Everybody knows somebody that's going to want to either buy or sell, and so I just try and put myself in front of those people as much as possible.
I love what Bobby's saying, and he's mentioned it a couple times really about, like, I wrote down degrees of separation. You've heard that 6 degrees of separation thing, but what Bobby's talking about here is it's not always this person right here, but that person's going to know someone, and thinking about every interaction you have might have 2 or 3 ripples to it. So we get so caught up on our sphere of influence and making sure, is this person is he gonna buy or sell from me? Well, maybe he won't, but he's gonna tell his friend down the street. So that, Bobby's mentioned that a couple times, and obviously it's working for him. 16 sales in a year and a half. So thinking about, it's not just this person, but it's that other person and that other person that they're gonna touch. That's awesome stuff. Thanks, Bobby.
And then, were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, it's keeping your head in the game too. Like when I had some downtime, it was starting to affect me.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, like a little bit of depression. I lost I don't know, 1.5 million of buyers. I was pretty upset. And trying to just be like a duck, I guess, and let it roll off your back and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think real estate's like, if anybody's a football fan, they always say quarterback has to have a short memory. You throw an interception, doesn't matter, move on, go to the next play. Man, real estate's so much the same way. Because if you get one bad deal that tanks your mindset for 5 deals, and then you don't go prospect, and the next thing you know, you're going 5 months without a closing, and that's not good for anybody. And so that's a great point.
Yeah. Mark Corner, I think it was you, Mark, had shared with me that someone told him early on that real estate is a great profession for you if you don't mind waking up every day unemployed. Was that you, Mark, that told me that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'd never heard that before, but it makes a lot of sense given that all of you work on commission, and really every day, just like Mark W. said, got to forget about yesterday because that could be the last thing. Whether it was a $3 million sale in Adam Greenberg's case, or you haven't had a sale in 5 months. In Judy's case, you got to forget that and today start over. So I love that when Mark shared that with me. Mark, I didn't mean to steal it.
It's like 2 weeks.
Yeah, Judy's gaps are more like a week and a half. She's freaking out.
Yeah.
What number am I on the board? Number 68 today. Just kidding.
Yay! I thought it was gonna be way worse.
So, right. So, anybody else have any questions for the panel that maybe we can bring in some other people, ask some questions, see what we can get lined up for you guys. Well, holy cow, don't everybody talk at once.
This is Keith. Want to ask Adam Greenberg. So
He's off screen over here. He's feeling shy today.
Oh.
Over there. God dang it.
So Adam, can you talk about your community involvement and getting in front of people that are doing construction and new builds?
If you're talking about getting in front of people, I'm also a musician on the side. What everybody else has said here holds true. I mean, you just got to get in front of as many people as you can. So besides real estate, I'm also I do music. I get involved in as many community organizations as possible, just to get out in front of people. As far as specifically with new construction, our market, I'm sure, is like most of yours, where it's super tight and there's not a lot of inventory out there. So if you're lucky enough or make strategically plan to get yourself involved in construction, you get to control the listings, which is where you want to be. So
Can you say that control part again?
Control? You like that?
Listings, he says it is.
But if you're working with people that are building new product, then and there's no product out there, or your inventory is low, then you get to be in the driver's seat for controlling the listings.
Can you explain being strategic about getting with those builders?
I mean, go as far as going on site, introducing yourself to builders, getting to know as many as you can. I mean, as we all know, in new construction, you're only as good as your worst subcontractor, So you're just trying to make those relationships. And then it also depends on how your business is structured, as far as is your investor hands-on? Are they not hands-on? Are they who are they working with for a general contractor or a foreman? Or every transaction is unique, as we know. So I just look at this job as we're firefighters, and all we're doing is putting fires out and facilitating things, and then hopefully getting it to closing. So
Thanks.
Absolutely. So, Adam, on that front, it sounds like you're doing a lot of community stuff, and I know Bobby is too. How do you guys pick what you guys get involved with?
With music, the advantage is you really get to hit all the different demographics, socioeconomic statuses, everything from the super affluent to just people struggling to get by, So I just leverage that naturally. Just as a human being, I like to talk to people. So I'm not necessarily going out there like, okay, if I get in front of 100 people today, I'll probably get 1 or 2 deals out of it. I mean, there's definitely that part of it too, but I just go and do the things I like to do, which is what you should do. It makes it easier. And just be yourself and just talk to as many people as you can. It's just, as we all know, it's just staying top of mind, so they think of you first if they have to do a transaction. Always be asking.
Do you wear your name tag on stage?
No.
Oh, yeah, that'd be kind of weird. Bobby, what's that?
Little luxury ball cap?
Maybe. You're better than the name tag, I'm thinking. Bobby, how about you, man? How do you pick what you get involved in? I know you do a lot of you're coaching wrestling and some of these other things, but what are your thoughts?
As far as what I get involved with, I have to be careful. I have a lot of different things vying for my attention, it seems like. And so I'm pretty particular about what I choose to get involved in. One is I look at it 2 ways. I'm like, okay, do I have something to contribute? And then 2, do they have something to contribute? And kind of like what Adam said, when I'm talking to these people, I'm not necessarily qualifying them instantly. What I'm doing is I'm getting to know them as a human being, like he said. I'm doing the same thing. You know, we usually start off with finding something in common. That's what I always look for when I first meet somebody, is I'll try and see if there's some commonality I can find. And then once I start with commonality, then we talk about that. And then usually that segues naturally into, you know, what do you do, you know, for a living? Well, I sell real estate. Oh, you do? Great. I know somebody, or I'm doing something. And then you can kind of talk a little more freely, but you got to find that common ground to where you're relatable to them. And so that's, you know, when I do that, I look at a group as a whole as, what am I going to get out of this group? Just from a human perspective, you know, is it going to make me better, make me worse? And that's usually how I choose. And so I choose, I'm very big into health and fitness stuff. So I choose my groups based around some of that. And then I'm big in the builder community. So I choose my groups based off of, hey, these guys have something to give, whether it's knowledge, advice, or I might need to build a house someday, that kind of thing. And then I try and be contributing back to those people, those groups.
Cool. But I like was involved with the church as well. So, you know, and I don't know what all you guys are wrapped up in, but Keith, why don't you talk a little bit about that? I mean,
yeah, I think a big thing is just don't be afraid to talk about what you do. I mean, even like church, for me, like when I first got started, I was kind of worried about, hey, everyone, I'm in real estate. Like, here's a card, because we're at church, and that's not what you're supposed to do. But people care. People like you. They want to help you. And any community you're in, just go all in for it. I mean, if you're coaching a sport or if your kid's on a sport, be that ultimate team mom and like give out orange slices, but with your card as well. And it's not gimmicky, it's not lame. It's just you're doing your job and you're just taking it to the whole other level. So don't be afraid to bring it up.
That's awesome.
I like that about what Judy said.
Yeah, Judy's actually picked up quite a few clients just from the gym, which, you know, I don't talk to anybody when I'm in the gym. So I don't know how that works out, but
I talk to everybody.
that doesn't surprise me. So, Jeremy, how about you? What are you involved in? I know you got hands full with kiddo and everything else. So
Yeah, right. I mean, my brother's a basketball coach, so for instance, right now, I mean, I'm just helping out one of his coaches. But for me, it's just a lot about family, a lot about friends, all that type of stuff. I think I've closed like 4 deals or so this year just from door knocking. So if I have a listing in an area that I like and they have a good turnover rate, then I just go hit up 30, 40 of their doors. And I mean, so far it's been decent return.
Yeah.
So, same thing though, just totally just having fun with them. I'm not trying to sell them anything. They're just getting to know me and like do the forward, the whole family, occupation, recreation, all that type of stuff. So it's not about out there trying to hound them. It's about out there trying to just get to know each other, have them get to know you, and have them feel comfortable with you.
Jeremy, you said that so quickly. Make sure everybody knows what Ford means, not in terms of the car. So can you say that more slowly? F-O-R-D, everybody. This should be something that you don't even think about, but this is such great communication. What is it, Jeremy?
Family, what they do, how many kids they have, family in town, whatever. Occupation, what they do for a living. What they like to do for fun is the R, recreation. And I think the D is different, but I just call it what their dreams are. What do they really want to do? I mean, so.
I know it was like the drug of choice. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just depends.
You know?
Depends on your dreams, right?
Have you guys practiced the Chevrolet model? It's a little harder to keep in mind, but it works too. I'll send that one along. Yeah. So Ford is a way in to talk to anyone. Whether you're knocking on a door or meeting someone for the first time, Ford will get you in. Family, occupation, recreation, dreams, desires. What are you doing? Anything that you want with that D. Keith, did you have something more on that?
Yeah, if you get to dreams, you've got them. If you can get all the way through Ford and you get to dreams, they are yours.
But don't skip on the FOR. Don't go right to dreams. Yeah. Well, I wanted to say something about I'm so glad you asked this question, Mark, about being involved in everything. And Pam C, who's on the call, shared with me. She's joined a couple women's groups and is having a great time. And just, if you're doing these things, joining a group or whatever to get business, it's going to backfire. It's going to be see-through. It's going to be transparent. Pam told me there's a realtor in one of these groups that it's obvious that she wants the business, and people are like, ugh. So join the groups that you're passionate about, and it's going to come. Right. And so it sounds like all of you, with the exception of Jeremy, but it sounds like all of you have those passions and are joining those groups. And so when you staple a card to the orange rind, it makes sense because people know you care about all that stuff first and you don't care about the business. I think that's true.
Right. If you're not passionate about what you're doing from a community involvement standpoint, everybody's going to see right through it. You have to be. So that's the thing. People are like, oh, I want to join Lions. I think it's a good place to pick up. No, you join Lions Club to be a Lions Club member. Hopefully you get business out of it. But if you're there for the sake of getting a referral, that doesn't make it. That'll be absolutely fake, and people will see through it. You've got to definitely be committed to on a different level. And then if you're passionate about it and you're involved, and you let people know you're a real estate agent, and that'll turn into referrals, transactions. But that's the key. You can't just join a group, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to ask these guys why they picked them, because that's important.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a little bit more of a specific question for all of you who so glibly said, "Oh, my SOI is important and whatever," and like every agent in the world says that. But what did that? A couple of you tell me, what did that exactly look like for you to leverage or connect with your SOI? Because having a spreadsheet in a CRM doesn't mean you're doing anything. So can you think, especially early on when you just jumped in, what is one thing you did specifically, tangibly, with or to or for your SOI?
Let's go. Really what you're going for or not. But basically, I just went to some of my closest peoples, my best friends, and I just said, "Hey, dude, I'm getting into real estate. Do you know, like maybe 2 or 3 people that I should talk to? I mean, I'm just trying to grow my business right now, So that was what I did to my closest people, and then once I started meeting more and more, I try to go out to like a dinner or something like that every week with different friends. So that way I just stay top of mind and they get to see me outside of the business and they get to see who I am too.
So very authentic and very informal and personable.
I asked for my best friend's help, and I mean, whenever I first got into it, and they gave me their help, Yeah.
Must have been a quick night. Who else has some thing you did?
One thing I think is easy is with Facebook and everything, we see what's going on in people's lives. So if you see someone just got a new job, congratulate them and ask to go get coffee and speak to them about what they're doing. I mean, obviously real estate's going to come up, but say, "Hey, I just saw you got that new job. That's awesome, man. I'd love to hear more about that. You want to go grab some coffee? I've always been interested in that topic." And that's just an easy way to make it so it's not a pushy, "Hey, do you want to go meet for coffee?" And I tell you all about real estate. No, it's like, "Hey, we're just going to catch up and I want to know about you," because I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and that conversation almost always ends up, "Well, how are you doing? How's business?" It's not, and it's very organic, and that's a great way to segue into it, especially as a new agent. They're gonna be like, "Man, what's wrong with you? Why did you do this? You quit your job and they're doing what now?" That'll come up pretty quick.
That's cool. Yeah, I rarely think of it this way, Keenan, so I'm glad you mentioned it, that your Facebook friends are your SOI, right? Like when I picture SOI, I picture an Excel spreadsheet, but dude, they're all on your Facebook. That's your SOI. And so you all know you can see who's on. And if you see a life change or a kid was born or whatever, man, just PM that person and they're going to be psyched about it. That's a great point, Keenan. Thanks for bringing that up.
How about anybody else on that?
I think just being friendly and open, the more people that you're just kind to, the more, they want to be around you, and the more they want to be around you, the closer you get. So.
Adam and Bobby, you guys have anything to weigh in on that?
On as far as sphere of influence.
Yeah, I'm still curious about those things.
As far as with my sphere of influence, it's real organic. Everybody's seen, when I go somewhere, my wife always gets annoyed because she's like, it seems like everybody. We've been to Florida and literally on vacation, and somebody walks up and knows me somehow. I'm not exaggerating that, but it's just like, I think it's exactly like everyone else said. It's just got to be organic. It's all about them. I've been researching just a little bit about telling a story, and in sales you're telling a story, but the hero of the story is not you. The hero of your story is whoever your client is. That's the hero of the story. And so when you're trying to talk to them, and you listen to people, you let them be the hero of the story, and you let them tell you. If you ask a question and then you just listen, people will tell you. They'll go on and on. A lot of times. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the biggest thing, is just be friendly, be kind, listen, and let it just organically develop. Eventually they'll ask you, what's up with you? What's new with you? Well, I'm selling real estate now. Oh, you're not in the lumber business? No, I'm still in the lumber business, but I'm working towards changing careers, and I've started selling real estate now. And that's a lot of times how those things play out over time.
Excellent.
My family told me, I had a lot of no's from my family, so that was disappointing early on. I called up my family and I was like, I'm getting into real estate. So I had the opposite experience of what Jeremy did. I was like, I'm getting into real estate. And they're like, oh, that's great. We use so-and-so, And so like I had an uncle who was like, I thought, okay, great. I know he's going to be buying property. He's my godfather. This is a lock. Walked into him and he's like, oh, well, I'm using so-and-so. She's, you're just getting into it. I love you. You're my nephew. But, so as far as me, I kind of worked my sphere of influence backwards. I didn't go immediately to close friends and close family members because I had one family member tell me no. So instead I started working it backwards and started working the fringe people, the acquaintance type people, and started working back my sphere of influence that way. And then now it's like my family members and people I know are asking me, well, how much have you done this year? And when I start telling them that I've done 16 transactions since April, it's really paints a pretty solid picture, But I don't know. That's how I worked my sphere of influence. I worked it backwards with acquaintances and just kind of zeroed back in. Is really honestly how I did it.
That's fascinating. Wouldn't it be a great goal to be able to say no to a family member? Sorry, can't help you. That bus left the station. That's awesome.
Your opportunity.
Yeah.
So I had a similar experience to that. I had 1,500 contacts come into the business. I was like, I want to be a millionaire in like 3 weeks. But they all know great agents. They're like, yeah, well, we know who you are, but we'll buy skis from you, but we're not gonna buy a house from you. What are you talking about? So all of a sudden there's like 1,500 deep database that was like a gold mine that I just like chucked it out the window and realized, okay, time to start over. Now I can go back to those people because I've established myself. But man, that was a hard lesson to learn. Adam, what do you got?
I make it a habit to find those at least 6 to 10 people that repeatedly give you business and touch them at least once a month in one way or another. And usually those are people that really well, and you probably discuss a lot of things that are unrelated to real estate anyway, like other people were saying. But still, I just leverage that. And then, I don't ever worry about that, I guess. It's not something I focus on. Maybe it's just because I've always been in sales as a musician, as an artist. You're always selling yourself. So it's just kind of comes with the territory, I guess. So I just don't focus on that, and the business will come around as you keep working. And then, of course, back up what you say, do what you say, and say what you do. And the number one thing that I hear from clients is, and the reason why they say, oh, they'll stick with me, or maybe it's the first time I've chatted with them as a follow-up, which is just those 2 words, follow up as fast as possible. If you don't know the answer, just tell them you don't know and you'll find out. But just I've had more people comment that they'll come back to me only because I'm the only one that's called them back. I don't get how you're in this business and you don't want to call people back, or I don't get how you get into this business and you don't like talking to people. I mean, how many of us know agents that feel uncomfortable talking to people? They're really good behind the computer. And you meet some of those agents that are willing to work on it, but then you meet some of those agents that aren't. And how much fun of are transactions with those type of agents?
Good time.
Well, let me ask a follow-up question from the sellout here. What do those touches look like? You said a monthly touch. Can you give us a couple touches that you use?
If it's what I call repeat offenders, then I'll try to at least take them out for lunch or coffee or something once a month. At the very least, I call everybody. I usually call people more than once a month. But with some of these investor groups, it's a small group of people, so you're touching the same, like I said, the same 6 to 10 people all the time. But, people like, as a human response, people like to be spoken to and to stay in touch. You can't get past the human element, which is why this is totally digressing, but the Zillow versus the agent argument, I think if you keep leveraging that human connection, that's what's going to keep you going in your business.
I think Adam touches on a really good point right there in particular, because I was speaking to somebody at one of the board of directors meetings here, and he's like, well, I know you guys have a bunch of good tech over there, but it's really about personal relationships. And I was like, well, obviously, like all of this tech, all the stuff that we do, all the stuff that we talk about, it is absolutely irrelevant when it comes down to building your relationship with your person. It's just stuff to get you in front of a human being to build a good relationship. And so great, yeah, leverage the heck out of it. But it comes down to, how do you treat your people? And people, some agents around town don't get that. And you're like, it's not like we're replacing everybody with robots. We're just trying to come up with new ways to get in touch with people. So we've got about 15 minutes here. Anybody else have any other questions? I don't know if Derek, you've got anything else burning up in that noodle of yours?
I got a question for people that are having success with anything. What are some good apps or different programs that you're using to help, whether it's organize your business, use social media better to your advantage, especially for probably agents that are just starting out, so they can kind of consolidate things to get more bang for their buck, like Hootsuite and stuff like that. Anybody have anything that they've got turned on to?
One app that I use all the time is an app called RPR, which is Realtor Property Resource. And I love that app. I can go in, I can do a comparative market analysis right from my phone. I can pull up, it'll tell me a value. I can, it gives me owner information, gives me market information. Literally, if I open it up right now, it'll tell me within a mile radius of me, it'll tell me every property that's for sale, every property that's just sold, if there's any distressed properties. It's a great resource, and that's one that I use religiously all the time.
Say it again.
It's called Realtor Property Resource. So you can find it in the Android store or the App Store. And some MLSs subscribe to it. Like for us, it's a free service as part of the PBR. But even if you had to pay for it, it would be worth it, because it's just the information is huge that it provides.
Well, Bobby, that's free for everybody. That's actually a NAR product. So if you're a real, you've got access. And it's narrpr.org, I believe, if you want to jump on the computer. But definitely the app on your phone, that is definitely a huge resource.
I'm sure Bozeman has figured out a way, Adam, to not let it happen. Your guys' it seems like it's super fascist to me, but
yep. Derek and Adam, just for your info, RPR does not operate in Bozeman. So Derek, you're right on. Our MLS is CoreLogic and their Matrix platform, and CoreLogic is a direct competitor with RPR kind of like, Apple and Microsoft, so they don't allow RPR on our MLS and Bozeman.
That is super handy.
Kind of a bummer, but
Yeah.
because it is a good platform.
We'll scratch all that, Adam. But, our last mastermind, we went over a bunch of apps, and so I'd refer people back to last month's mastermind that Alan led. It was all the realtor apps and websites that are helpful. But, Adam's got a more captive audience here. Is there anything else people are like, oh, yeah, this one makes my life a lot easier or whatever? Keith just shared Loom yesterday, Loom, on our Facebook Inside Track as a way to do videos more easily. I don't think it replaces BombBomb, but it seems to have some nice video slickness. Anything else that people are like, all right, I'll share this golden treat?
One thing that's great about BombBomb that a lot of people don't utilize is, obviously the videos are great, but it tracks when people open up their emails. So one thing that I've seen that's been good is you send a client a bunch of properties and you never get a response from them, or a lead, or you never get a response from, but then you can see when they opened it. So a week later, they may open up that email again, then hey, they're still kind of interested. I'm going to give them a call today and just see if they did open that email, because I know that they did, and just get into that dialogue. So that's one thing that I've seen is helpful.
Yeah. Although you're not going to say, I noticed you just opened your email 15 minutes ago. Freak them out. Right? So.
Well, and I would say that, and we'll do a whole nother thing on this, because me and Derek were talking about this the other day, and it may not help you guys in Bozeman, God only knows what they're doing with it, but CBX is a tool that everybody should be using to some extent for a lot of different things. We'll get into a lot deeper discussion because that's a massive thing. But if you're not familiar with that, look into it, unless you're in Bozeman, and then you probably don't have access to it. Because it pulls data from RPR as one of its sources, so that's not going to be. Hopefully, CoreLogic is in that mix, but that can be a huge tool for anybody looking to do that. So, one of the big reasons I've got Judy in here is that she did $4 million consistently for about 3 years. Like 4 million, and this year she's at 7.5 and cruising. So I just wanted to kind of see like what really changed outside of just, were you able to take that much stuff off your plate, like with moving over here? Kind of walk us through a little bit of that.
Oh yeah, because I was at an independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can't offer that, so you have to pick. You have to do everything. You have to do your own letters. You got to do your own marketing. You got to do everything. Figure out who you're going to use as a photographer. Everything. So now, and these guys around here are great because they'll help you right out, with all that. So
yeah,
you're not having to do every little tiny, part of it. It's really
well. And so that's leveraging your time.
That's
leveraging time is what's helped Judy, and we're all frozen apparently over here. Nobody can see my crazy hand motions apparently. But leveraging time is huge, and that's a big part of what will get anybody to the next level.
Reminder that tomorrow you will all be getting emails from Kingston Lane introducing and welcoming you to that platform. We had a fan club on it Friday, and if you didn't hear about it or don't know anything about it, it's a pretty slick and sophisticated way to get more leads. And so you'll be seeing 2 or 3 emails, I think, from them tomorrow. I encourage all of you, because anyone in this mastermind, because you're in coaching, you're thinking about being on the edge, on the cutting edge. This is a platform that will help you do that. It does cost a little bit of money. The company has purchased for the year your entry into the bar, let's say. We're not buying your drinks, but the cover charge was pretty significant, and so now you're in the bar, and I really am going to encourage people to set aside a little bit of money to practice a couple, or to try a couple of these platforms they have and see if any of them give you any juice, because everything that we've seen as managers and leadership has been like, oh my God, this is such a cool company, and it's so easy to just do it on your own. And so hoping some of you are getting excited about taking that plunge at least once or twice to see how it works for you. Speaking of new apps, Adam.
Well, one of the apps is a passport parking app. If you're in Junction, it's really handy, and that's what shut down my camera. So
That's a good app.
super handy. All right. Anybody have some closing bits of wisdom? Nobody in here. So I want to thank everybody for your time. I hope you're able to gain something out of this. I think honestly the biggest takeaway from all this is figure out a way to get in front of your sphere and be genuine about it. I mean, that's really, it's not complicated at the end of the day. It's a people business. You got to connect with people, and how you do that, there's many millions of different ways to do it, but connecting with people is really the key. And I think that's pretty much the common theme we've heard through here. And be willing to do the work to actually reach out and make sure that you're staying in front of people.
Okay, hey, Bobby and Adam and Judy and Jeremy and Keenan, just thanks a ton for all of your expertise and everybody who asked questions and all of that. Good stuff. Mark, thanks for organizing, and I'll send this recording out to all the coach agents and coaching, and hopefully we'll keep building on all this stuff. And here's to a strong finish. You guys all have had a great year, and let's make those numbers a little bit bigger by December 31st, all right? Okay, thanks everybody.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.